And if your hand or your thumb gets hurt carving, get yourself a callus. I mean, that's all there is to it. Do a little work with your hands and maybe get tougher. Toughen up. Or let's say somebody has like a piece of metal gas pipe or something, and I'm blocking it out of the way, and this thing just keeps coming undone and flipping around, and then before you know it, the knife's backwards, and it's not a good knife for anything. Harden the tip. Bam. You know, this thing, it's cool. It's a neat knife, cool knife, neat knife to show your friends, but came out today to have a little fun with this. I always wanted a Rambo knife. This came someone out in Pakistan. And I don't mind Pakistan knives at all. The ones I've gotten have been pretty good. Can't complain. Rather Pakistan than China in my opinion. No offense. But I guess we're going to go out and figure out something to do with this knife. Put it to the test. Kind of see if you really could get by with a Rambo knife. I like it. It's a cool knife. Probably be a good fighting knife. We'll get a closer look at it later, but we'll get out here and do something. So stay tuned. So that comes loose, it looks like. Alright, so that's how it's put together. So you got a little tiny bit of tang down here. I think a lot of them are built like that. Just gotta keep it tight. You know, if it gets, I've seen other videos where they got loosened up like that. So, maybe. Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, it comes loose. But I guess it's better than it breaking. Alright. We got that. I might have to figure out a way to maybe try and Loctite that a little better. But it's not broke. Still in one piece. Hairball. See how it does the... This is some maple, so a little bit harder wood. A lot of knots. Just can't get a good... It's not meant to be a carving knife. We'll put it that way. But I could work with it. Kind of slowly whittle it down. It's kind of got to get in there. Slowly but surely. I think it'd be easier just to give it some, getting the right angle. Yeah, it's not working too bad. Get yourself a nice little spear. I guess I could choke up here a little more, but that kind of digs into my hand. So maybe like this. I think that just doesn't feel right. So you got to be back on the blade a little bit, which makes it tougher to do some fine tasks. This isn't a fine task kind of blade. This is more, I'm starting to realize, just kind of like a, well, it's meant to be a survival knife, I'd assume, and a good fighting knife. But seeing as I can just unscrew this handle like that, that's kind of not ideal if I'm in the middle of a big battle with somebody. So But it did just sharpen the spear up. Let's see if we can't get a little fire going with it and fire harden the tip of this spear. It didn't come with anything in the handle, but I put a little something in there. Got a little bit of some braided poplar bark, just little dry tinder. I got some Strike Anywhere, or some windproof, waterproof matches in there. And I got a little striker. If I could get that out. Yeah, right here. So, see if we can't just get it going with one match. I'll leave two out just in case. In a dire survival situation, I'd sure be a little more careful. But enough space in there to throw some matches. I had to snip them down a little bit. I snipped about 3/8 of an inch off the end. Oh. Harden the tip. Now we gotta go find a wild boar to stick. Virgil. Damn. Well, spear didn't work, did it? I guess that's all right. Nothing special. See if that sawback works. Up here it works at the swedge. Let's see if it works down at this other spot. Not really. So up there on that, up in here and these saw teeth, they kind of work. I guess we'll let's do a quickie on some hardwood. See if we can't. You know, it's just kind of nothing special. You're getting a little bit of feathers. Yeah, I can make feathers with it, but this is just not an ideal knife for much of anything. Y'all hear that train? I mean, it did all right with a little bit of chopping and hacking, making that spear. I mean, it was all right. The handle kept coming loose, which I guess that's how this knife is designed. So you got it threaded. Trying to figure out how exactly those are very weak spots right here and here. Very weak. And then you've just, I'm sure you're not going to be able to hear that train. Down in there you've got your female end. Not much of a tang. It's kind of a weak spot. I wouldn't be too hard on this knife. So other end, you got a little cheap compass that I wouldn't trust my life with. And then you've got this little compartment that, I stuffed some windproof, waterproof matches. Stuffed some matches in there, a little bit of tinder, a striker. And there's no rubber seal along here, so I guess if it rained hard enough, could compromise the tinder I had in there. It's a neat looking knife. It's a nostalgic knife, but I'll cut to the chase. This would be one of the last knives that I would pick to be my one survival knife or bushcraft knife or any knife except fun knife to pull out of the drawer and show people. Check out my Rambo knife. And I don't have many knives like that. All of my knives are knives that I actually use, even the expensive ones. This knife, I mean, it's super cool looking. Very cool knife. And I'm sure I could figure out a way to maybe seal these threads, lock it in there real good. So when I'm chopping and hacking, it wouldn't come loose. But really, I mean, this isn't good for much of anything. It's just a movie prop. And this one, it was made good. It's just the design is just like a show design, theater design. This isn't something that you really want to take out in the woods and use. And this is my opinion. I know there's going to be people out there that say, I have one made by this maker and it's an awesome survival knife. Or I have one that I've been using since the 80s. Or I have this one that this maker made. Or I have the Buckmaster, which costs $700, and that's a good, strong, sturdy knife. But the Buckmaster, that might be a neat knife to have, but that just looks like a very uncomfortable knife to be using. These are collecting knives to collect. This is a knife just to, when you have friends over and you're showing them your knife collection, you bust this thing out. Check out this Rambo knife I have. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, it doesn't do too good when you're out in the mountain, but it's just a neat knife. I guess if it was the end of the world as we know it, and this is all I had, I'd be happy I had it. Absolutely. I mean, it's big and it's pretty sturdy. It's just, I don't like how it comes undone like this. Like if say I was in some kind of knife battle, or somebody's, I'm in some action movie and somebody's swinging a bat at me and I'm blocking it out of the way with this knife, and every time I block, or let's say somebody has like a piece of metal gas pipe or something, and I'm blocking it out of the way, and this thing just keeps coming undone and flipping around, and then before you know it, the knife's backwards, and it's not a good knife for anything. I mean, if it's the knife I had, like I said, I'd make do with it. But overall, just a show knife. And it's a cool knife. I'm glad I have it to add to my collection. But I can assure you, y'all won't see this on my side up in the mountain, ever. There's never a time when I would carry this out. I mean, I never say never, but it's kind of like this thing weighs a little bit, and it's really handle heavy. Like, I wouldn't be able to throw it. This isn't a knife you could throw. It's not balanced. Look at the balance point all the way back here. Like, if you want to try and get it into, it's handle heavy. We get it about where the middle is. I got my fingers about where the middle is. Handle heavy. That's just, I'd rather it be blade heavy, if anything, if I'm going to throw it. So you can't even throw this. I mean, I can't remember if Rambo threw his in the movie or he just stuck it up in the tree. This thing, it's cool. It's a neat knife, cool knife. Neat knife to show your friends. But that's about as far as it goes for me, folks. Not a whole lot more to say about it. Not a whole lot more I could do with it. I guess I could build a shelter with it. In a long, arduous process. Handle will keep coming loose as I'm trying to chop and hack, and yeah. The only way you get a fire going with this sucker is the match is kept. That's why they have a hollow handle. Because you're not going to get by with this knife without having some more survival items. But not a functional knife. I mean, the blade is functional, the blade's sharp enough, but the design just doesn't do it for me. Your hand is way too... I like to choke up, and I can't choke up with this knife because you can see, at least with this one, the way this design is, where the finger guard comes to a point there, and sometimes I'll get up in like this. I could get up in there and do some work. But you've got this sharp edges of the saw back, and normally I don't care, and I guess I could get up like this and maybe do some like finer carving tasks or something, like, yeah, but I mean, I work with my hands, so I'm not going to sit there and cry about these edges being sharp. You know, I was watching a video the other day about some guy crying about how, you know, 90-degree edges, 90-degree spine on your knife. Why, I don't like it. And it hurt his hands and all this and that. And he said how it's just not worth it. And I think a 90-degree spine is totally worth it. And if your hand or your thumb gets hurt carving, get yourself a callus. I mean, that's all there is to it. Do a little work with your hands and maybe get tougher. Toughen up. But yeah, obviously it's not going to be ideal for working up here. Can't choke up. Can't get my palm in right there and choke up. I mean, it's half of a good idea because you got this spot right here where you can maybe get your finger in. So when I'm trying to do if I was trying to do a push cut, I'm either going to be digging in on my thumb here or just gripping it hard. You know, gripping it like this, where I got no oomph behind me. See what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be able to, it's all going to be in my fingers here holding on, which that just makes it awkward and tough. Just doesn't seem right. So, neat knife to have in the collection. Do any of y'all have anything like this? Like more of a real deal Rambo knife? Do any of y'all have one from a maker that makes a very efficient one that you like to take out in the woods? I'd love to hear about it. I'm glad I got the knife. It's a neat knife, and I'm happy to add it to my collection, but that's as far as it goes. I hope y'all enjoyed this quick little video, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!